What's up? Crowie here. Hope your day is going well, week's going well. Hope your financial year is going well. But whatever you're doing, stop traffic and learn some business lessons from the one, the only, the big dog, the biggest dog, 50 Cent. We are, in fact, talking through his hit single from 2003, In the Club. And my encouragement to you is to put that song on repeat, because we are taking business lessons from the big dog himself, 50 Cent. But as we get started, look at yourself in the mirror, look at yourself in the rearview mirror, and just say, I am the big dog, I am the biggest dog. Woofity, woofity, woof, woof. Big dog. Ow, the big wolf. Yeah. All right, we're Sparky Coach, and coming at you here. So, business lessons from 50 Cent, and part 5. Here we go. You know this bit. In the hood in LA, they're saying 50, you hot. They like me, I want them to love me like they love Pac. So in the hood in LA, they're saying 50, you hot. They like me, I want them to love me like they love Pac. That's Tupac. Shout out to our Tupac. We have the Tupac, and I'm a big believer that everyone should put it in capitals, the Tupac. Is it one word or two? I guess the Tupac is 2 words, but what is Tupac? Is it 1 word or 2 words? But we have a Tupac, and it is essentially a cost operations session and a session on all things financial forecasting. We call it the Beast-imator. It's such a fantastic thing to grab. If you want to come visit, grab a Tupac. It's pretty much what you need to do to start your business journey to success. But they like me, I want them to love me like they love Pac. They like me, I want them to love me. My question is, who do you want to love you? Who do you want to love you? Because success is really interesting. If you're doing it for anyone but yourself and your immediate family, I'd question it, right? Don't let your ego get in the way of a good story. Who are you doing this for? Who are you doing this for? Don't do the business journey to impress someone. I'll never forget when I used to introduce myself as like, hey, I'm Greg, I've got 12 staff. like the biggest dickhead ever. And I'm just like that. I found my identity wrapped up in my business sort of success. Or, sometimes it's like, sometimes people could look from the outside and be like, oh, that guy's killing it or whatever. And something like, you're eating noodles, like legit eating, like this is really, really tough. Like I've thrown everything on the line here, and I hope it pays off, because it's risky, right? You've got to take those risks, like in business. But it's interesting. I think you've just got to reconcile. You've got to impress the people that matter most, and that's yourself and your immediate family members. Like make it sick for them, but don't worry about what anyone else thinks, because you look inside other people's lives and other people's worlds sometimes, and it's like not all is what it seems. And I want to encourage you, like, don't do this journey for anyone else but yourself. So sometimes, you might drive like the sickest Kia Carnival that's gotten like rims the size of your mum's head, like kind of thing. Who cares? Like who cares? What are you doing this for? Because if you're doing it for everyone else, there's no end to it. But if there's no end to trying to impress people, and I remember someone once said to me, people don't think of you as much as you think they do. So people aren't sitting at home talking about you. If they are, you probably don't want to be their friend, because that's an awful thing to sort of be. But don't let your ego get in the way of your story. I'm a big believer, like this won't land with everyone, but I was a big believer, don't draw unnecessary attention to yourself. Remember that American Gangster movie where Denzel Washington turns up in that fur coat? And he's like, that's the moment I cooked myself, because it's like the FBI or whoever was like investigating at that point was like, who's this guy? Why is he front row? Why is he in a fur coat? And this is a massive thing. Why, if I was you, and I get to ask this, and this is why we don't put any of our clients on any kind of testimonial. If you've been with another trade business coach and they've asked you for a testimonial, I would 100% say no, because it's like, I know what happens with these things. Like, oh my gosh, I 10x my revenue, and my profit's like 3 times, and I got all this time with the family, and we just bought our investment property, and our kids are doing poos and they don't smell, and it's like you're literally sharing all the best things, and it just doesn't serve your business at all. It only serves the coaching business. And as a coach, you're paid to operate in the client's best interest, and I don't feel like those testimonials are operating in the client's best interest unless that person has a desire, a burning desire, Elvis style, to work in the coaching industry. You got to think, when these ads get promoted to all tradies, they get promoted to your friends who are gyprockers, your friends who are plumbers, your friends who are builders, your friends who are potentially commercial clients, all of a sudden they're looking at you going like, I 10x my rev, and I got 4 times the profit, and I just bought this boat, and it's pretty good. Like, I can take my friends on this boat, and they're just going, oh, I'm paying this guy too much money. Like, no one's against people making money. I'm not saying that. But if you're drawing attention to how profitable you are, especially with efficiency, and I used to charge hourly rate, now I charge the price book, that's cool. But the next time your client, when they see that video and your client now looks at your quote and it's a price book, and they're looking at your quote and it's 10 grand, they're going to be second guessing how much profit's in that, and you might just do yourself more damage than good. Your ad might go, the reach of social media is psycho. Like, it could go out to people and it could actually affect you negatively. And you've gone there for good faith because the coaching company's done their job. You've paid them to perform, to show you what to do. They have. Now they want a testimonial. Just be like, sweet, I'll give you a Google review because my clients won't see that, right? That's what I would do. I would 100% refuse that. I wouldn't do that. But so ego, don't let your ego get in the way of your future, because your ego wants to show people how well you're doing and, oh, what happened here, and oh my gosh, I did this. But it's like, what is the future cost of that? And if the future cost outweighs the current situation, you need to weigh that up and apply some wisdom and be like, no, that's not the journey for me. That's not my path to work. I appreciate what you've done for me, and I'll leave you a Google review, and you can get stuffed. And I'll never forget, I don't know if I shared this in the other podcast, but a friend of mine who's been in coaching for a while runs quite a successful electrical business, plastered on some ads, and it really came back to bite them. So be really, really, really careful what you allow, just how you allow yourself to be presented by someone who's meant to be paid to operate in your best interest. Oh, rant over. But that's why you'll never hear, I don't personally even want to do podcasts with our members on that, because my fear is that it will stitch them up. So we're paid to operate in our clients' best interest, and we will do that time and time again. But ego, don't let your ego get in the way of a good story. I'll never forget, like, what do you mean when you say ego? And I'll never forget, like, I'm pretty good on the tools. Like, I've just turned 40, so maybe my ability is a bit less than it used to be. And maybe I used to climb up a few more 4-footers than I used to, and just rip and tear a bit more than I used to. So maybe I'm backing my ability since on 2007, 2014, whatever, like that kind of realm. But I'll never forget, like, when someone hands you, we've all been there, when someone's been like, oh, hey, Jimmy's quoted this, or Joey's quoted this, or Johnny's quoted this, and here's the quote, and it's like 19, and he's better than them, I'll do it for 18. So it's like sometimes your ego can get in the way and it's like, how do they even come up with that 19? How do they get to that 20? How do they get to that 21? How do they get to that 40? Are we comparing apples for apples? Because it's, so often my ego would get in the way of myself being profitable, whether I was trying to compare myself to other electrical companies that might not know their figures properly, whether or not it was me trying to be like, we'll smash that job out in one day, when really it was 3 days or 2 days or 1.5 days, whether it was me going like, oh, I won't charge that variation because, or whether it was me going like, trying to act like a nice guy that, I'm not going to charge that person for that job, when really I was just like too insecure to even talk about it, and I hadn't talked about it, so it came to the invoice and I hadn't had the right discussion. So now I was in a boat where I was like, well, do I call them now or just wipe it off? It's easier for me to wipe it off. I'll just wipe it off, right? So it's so interesting. Like, you're looking at your ego, and you even with like trying to make 5 or 10 year decisions or 20 year decisions around clients. So don't ever fly off the handle at a client. Don't ever fly off the handle at a staff member, because it's not worth it. Because sometimes your ego, how you feel in the moment, can get in the way of a 5 or 10 or 15 year client. If you think that you're never going to have any conflict with your clients or staff members, it's not true. You're going to have an element of conflict. You're going to have some big dog discussions, because you are the big dog, and the big dog has the big dog discussions. And essentially, you can gauge how well someone will do normally by their ability to have a good big discussion well. And you can have a good big discussion really, really well. And usually well is having it early and seeing both sides of the coin and having a calm temperament. So it's like the second your ego gets involved, I told you it was going to be that, I told you that, I said that job took 2 days, I said this. Like, the second you start not having like a relatively level or consistent temperament, or the second you let your ego take over and and start taking advantage of people or product or numbers or manipulating things. And sometimes, you see people go, oh, I made like X amount of money today. And it's like, well, yeah, but you might only make that once or twice before that client cottons on, and now your reputation's cooked. And what you're really after in a business is being around long term. What you're after when you're after long term is you're after like reputation. Reputation is probably all you've got at the end of the day. Like, yeah, you want to make some money, of course, but that money to an extent is hinged upon the reputation you have. So you see sort of people come out and it's like, oh, I did this, we're doing this. It's like, yeah, but you've done it over a short period of time. There's like a 1 to 2 year lifespan here. You had a good month, that's cool, but can you have a good decade? You've had a good year, but can you have a good 4 years, 5 years, 6 years? That's what you're not after the hit it and quit it short-term stuff. You want consistency, you want results, yeah, you want profit, you want revenue, you want all that kind of stuff, but you want it not just today and tomorrow and this month, but next month and the 3 months after that as well. It's interesting, right? Like, you see people love to share this story, but one of our guys went out to a call out on a Sunday and did the job. I think he charged reasonable rates, and he got an incredible opportunity with this, because the client was like, oh, sick, like, thanks so much, reasonable invoice, I wasn't expecting that. Chipped him into a builder, got hundreds of $1,000s of work from this, right? So if you do the right thing, I'm not saying don't make money, I'm saying if you do the right thing by people, if you can see the forest from the trees sometimes. I was watching this really interesting thing, and it was I'm no Lord of the Rings expert. I did read the books when I was 19, but there was this guy from Lord of the Rings, and they were like, how much you get paid for that movie? And he's like, nowhere near what you think. Like, I think it was 130 grand or 180 grand or whatever, like way low for a movie star, right? And he's like, you know what, bud? I'd do it again for half, because the opportunity and the platform that gave me, it's changed my whole life. So here's what I'm getting at. You've got to see these opportunities in business. Like, not every opportunity is going to be presented for you. Like, not every opportunity that gets presented, you need to take advantage of. Because if you can do the right thing by people, and if you can be like, hey, if I get this, it'll put me in a spot to get that. What I'm not talking about here, I'm not speaking to your insecurity that goes like, oh, if I quote it and get this. And if a builder ever tells you, here's my rule of thumb, if people are giving you a pricing structure that's skewed in their favor. The other thing I will say, that if a building company comes at you and they're like, what am I trying to say? If a building company comes at you and says like, hey, I've got a few more, if you get a good price on this or these 1 or 2 or 3, I can give you work into the future, I'd be sus on that, because anyone trying to sell themselves in the future, you're just going to get a bit caught from time to time, so be careful. But can you see the opportunity in this? You've got to be able to see the opportunity in this, right? Like can you look at something and be like, hey, if I be reasonable here, that's going to result in this, this, and this. Hey, it's a great example of I don't want to say too much, but like, probably can't say this opportunity because it's out there for people, but sometimes you can have, okay, I'll share this. Sometimes you can have a perceived low hourly rate, right? So we used to work at these pubs and for like $90 to $95 an hour. And you think that's like, you go, oh, that's stupid, I'm 120, like, that's cool. Like, you don't understand. Like, you don't understand how things work. Like, you're talking about 100% efficient for 12 to 18 months. You're talking about a home base of people, and you're talking about maybe it's even $90, $95 a person. So maybe you can get an apprentice in there and be 180 a team. Like, that's 190 a team, right? So you can make some huge money. But here's the thing, when you're pushing 5 to 8 grand in materials every single week with a 35% markup, if you reverse engineer that materials profit back on top of the hourly rate, your 90, 95 pushes to 120, 125, 130 pretty quick, and your efficiency is 100%. And I'm not saying that's the right way to work all the time, but it's a way to work. And if you can combine that 20% net profit, which is what most cost plus jobs will give you, with the 40% net profit of the service and maintenance, and hit an average of 30 across the year, that's an excellent result. So it's like, some people get so blind to what's in front of them and be like, oh, I would never do that. And it's like, hourly rates only reference point is billable hours, and the price book's just a combination of the two. And sometimes it works in your favor and sometimes it works against you, so you've got to make sure it's working in your favor more often than not. And the other thing that Sparkies have is a materials like dollar value per hour, which is usually in the $8 to $12 mark, that So basically, like, there's $8 to $12 of profit usually, like roughly across a year per hour on top of every Sparky's head, a Sparky and apprentice's head, right? So it's like, if you can be on the right side of labour efficiency, labour rate and materials markup or margins, whatever you want to call it, if you're on the right side of this more often than not, you'll be on the right side of a year. But sometimes the ego goes like, oh no, I'm worth more than that. And the reality is, like, sometimes you might be worth more than that, but can you understand your figures to manufacture and manipulate them into be like, no, like, actually, this is a good opportunity. Like, this job, sometimes, like, this is why I'm a massive believer in numbers. I'm also a massive believer in process. And sometimes getting to the end of a job and breaking even might be okay. Reference this, right? Sometimes get to the end of the job and you're like, I treated it with absolute contempt. It rained, we went there. It hailed, we went there. It was our home base. We went there late, we started early to suit. We built it in around other jobs, but we came out with a 5% net profit, 10% net profit. It should have been 20, 25, but we handled it poorly, pushed it back to this point, but I would do it all again because that job gave me the confidence to hire. That hire gave me a hire of 2 or 3 people, gave me the confidence now to go across here, and I didn't need the work, so we started quoting properly or quoting well or quoting effectively or quoting efficiently, and we're pushing huge numbers over here. This job was a Trojan horse, right, to get those other jobs. So it's like, if you can put your ego aside, and this is why you'll hear me and Cam always talk, like, there's no one way to skin the cat. Anyone that says there's one way to do things is potentially lying, right? Because it's like, especially in a trade sense, especially in the electrical sense, you've got to be able to see the forest and the trees. You've got to be able to identify, like, is this a good opportunity? Is this worth charging for this quote? Is this worth ripping this person's mum off when the person's got this point, like across here? If you do the right thing consistently across the board for everyone, not saying not to make money, the right thing can also involve being quite profitable. But if you can be on the right side of making money, if you can be on the right side of effort, if you can be on the right side of taking your opportunities, then you can do some great things with your electrical business. So if everyone's saying you're hot, if everyone's saying in the hood in LA, they're saying, Crowie, you're hot. They like me, I want them to love me. Who do you want to love you? Who do you want to respect you? Who are you doing this for? Answer that first and foremost. No doubt, it has to be for yourself and for your family. It can't be to prove a point to someone. It can't be because you want to like show people what you're worth. Well, I can do it. Like that teacher in school said, never make it. Just let it all go. Do it for yourself now. Do it for your family, and like. Do the sickest job, build the sickest business, build a profitable business. But yes, see your opportunities and take your opportunities for none other than yourself. Peace.